Well, good morning, everybody. This is Jamie Silver with Herf Jones Yearbooks. Happy Monday morning to you again. Wanted to share a couple topics today. The first being your yearbook cover and some ideas, as well as some basic photo composition and then some samples to look at together. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it and start talking about your cover. This is probably something you've been thinking about, or you might have done already, but I wanted to share a couple of pointers on creating your cover for your book. So you are more than welcome to use one of our pre-designed covers within your kit that we sent you this school year. We sent you a ton of examples of pre-designed covers. You're more than welcome to pick one that might fit the feeling for the school year for you. You might want to consider a theme. Having a unifying theme makes your book feel, more cohesive and planned out and makes it unique from the previous year. So if you have a theme that might be related to something unique this school year at your school, consider that. Also consider some unifiers. This can be simple things like colors, symbols, shapes, fonts, something that looks consistently planned throughout the book. So maybe a piece from the cover, one of the piece of the artwork that you might consider using throughout the yearbook on the pages to give it that cohesive look. Be creative. Have fun with it. You can do a student contest where it's student artwork. Create it yourself in really any form you can imagine. You can draw it, paint it, submit photos, or you can actually create it right on our website. And I just want to show you a quick reminder of where that is when you're logged in. Notice above page 1 there's nothing here, but if you go to book setup and we go to cover, you can simply choose one of our pre-designed from the list, or if you click on custom cover, and you can ignore this, there's no extra charge for doing your own cover. And as soon as I close this window, you'll notice above page 1, it's going to add a workspace for your cover. And then you can come in here and you can actually create the cover just as you would with our tools if it were a yearbook page, but it tells you, where the spine is, if you're doing personalization here. One most important thing here is to note this line that goes around the outside, that's where the paper gets cut. So just consider, we call that the bleed line. If you want a photograph or part of the artwork to go right to the edge of the cover, you want to extend it right past that just to make sure it goes all the way around the cover. And again, I know it seems a little silly now, but you are creating a record. So don't forget to put the year and the name of the school. I know it seems obvious now, as it says here in the blog post, but years from now, that information will become very valuable. So consider that. Now we're going to jump into photography here, and I'm going to show you a quick little video on photo composition, and then I'll be right back. So I hope you found that helpful and inspirational. I love capturing emotions and capturing the moments. I mentioned depth of field and rule of thirds, some of the basic photo composition terms. I love narrow depth of field. That means you have something in sharp focus and then everything in the foreground and the background blurry, and it just gives the photo some real depth. So I'll share a couple examples of my own photos with you here. So some of these, as you know, as a parent yourself, I have a lot of photos of my daughter, so I apologize for that. But I do tend to carry the camera around. But I wanted to start with some photos from, let's look at a high school graduation to show you some of the same things. Again, capturing emotion. This is reaction from people in the audience. Getting as close as you can. Again, rule of thirds, having the primary subject. Her face is pointed at the camera. Everyone else is either the back of their head or blurred out in the background. Again, moving in close. Same thing here. Capturing emotion. trying to show motion activity. I think I have one of the graduation caps and gowns being thrown here, and this is a little tricky. This is one of my favorites as well. Again, rule of thirds. He lines up perfectly at the intersection of two of those intersecting lines. Sharp focus on him, blurred out front and back. Gives the photo depth. Here's that motion. And basically, you just got to take a lot of photos here, try to capture it as they're flying. Water, this is my daughter. I love shooting water because with a fast shutter speed, you can really capture those water droplets. It looks really cool. So you'll notice in my personal photography here, quite a bit with water. Really cool one of some friends of ours with mist. Black and white, I put this one in to consider. You know, we all have color books, of course, but sometimes black and white from an artistic perspective is a nice way to mix it up. So, you know, even though we have a color book, you'll consider black and white. If there's something you want to draw attention to on a page or a section, black and white can be a really fun way to do that. Again, emotion, getting real close in to the subjects. These were taken recently at a band competition in Downers Grove. Bands from all over the Illinois area came to compete. Again, close up, rule of thirds, trying to avoid putting the main subject dead center. Some of these drum pictures, by the way, I didn't get, but if you'd slowed down the shutter speed a little bit, we might have been able to get the drumstick blurred a little bit, which would maybe tell a little bit more of the story. Perspective. And we went down to see my niece, and there she is. And we, again, almost centered, but I tried to put her off center a little bit there so you can see kind of some leading lines with the school buses in the background. Breaking the rule here, dead center. The emotion on her face I thought was pretty cool to make front and center. And this is on a school bus, and again, leading lines showing leading back, you know, through the seats and kind of sneaking through, you know, the view of a seat to cover up part of her face, but showing a little bit and showing emotion of where she's looking off to that side. And again, storytelling. That's what we're all here to do with yearbooks, right? We're trying to tell a story. A lot of us are taking our children, you know, apple picking and pumpkin picking this time of year. So, you know, again, visual storytelling. I try to avoid her looking right at the camera, but sometimes it's just too darn cute. Can't avoid it. Action, running, having fun with her friends. So, again, just some examples of some personal photography I want to share with you. One last thing I want to leave with you today was resolution, something to talk about with digital photography. So we're probably all familiar with DPI or dots per inch. Everything that is printed is broken down into dots, and typically 72 DPI is what you might find on the web. So if you're ever going to, you know, borrow or get permission to take photographs from the web, they're probably 72, and they're probably not good enough for print in the yearbook. 300 DPI is kind of our standard. And I have an example here to show you both text and photographs. It's an amazing difference when you go up in resolution. So basically what I'm saying is if you have a camera with options to capture the highest resolution and least compression, you want to set those settings on your camera to those so you capture the most, because we can always cut down resolution when we're, you know, putting on the page. But the problem we have sometimes with yearbook pictures is if we're going to crop a photo. So while this picture may have been, you know, the whole scene in the room, but we focused in on this one student, you know, effectively we're cropping a photo, we're pulling the pixels apart and effectively reducing the DPI. So you want to make sure you capture as many dots as you can at the start, and we can always cut it down later, but we can't add. So I hope that was helpful. Have a wonderful day. If you have any questions about your cover or photography is one of my passions, but really anything yearbook related, please let me know. I'd love to hear from you. You have a good day. Thank you.